Everyone. So, from today, we are going to start up with our new chapter, which is chapter number 10, cell cycle and cell division. So, without any further ado, let's get started with this chapter. So, in this chapter, we are going to learn about that cell, what is cell cycle, and how the cell division occurs, all the phases of cell cycle, and all. So, let's get started with it. So, we know that there in this world, in this life, there are millions of organisms, from the largest to the smaller one, multicellular to single cell one, and the single cell also the organism having the single cell goes on to form such large organism. So we are going to study about the cell cycle first. So we know that growth and reproduction are the twin characters of cell, are the two characteristics of a cell. Okay, and all the cells reproduce by dividing into two. All the cells reproduce by dividing into two, with each parental cell gives rise to two daughter cells each time they divide. What is it saying? It is saying that all the cells, okay, let's suppose this is a cell and this is the nucleus of the cell, and all the cells reproduce by dividing into two. It will divide into two, and with each parental cell giving rise to two daughter cells each time they divide. So it is saying that cell growth and reproduction are the two characteristics of a cell, and all cells reproduce by dividing into two, with each parental cell giving rise to two daughter cells each time they divide. And the newly formed daughter cells can themselves grow and divide next, and will give rise to again new cell. So this process is cyclic, like this will continue for the whole life. Okay, and this will not end, because one is dividing and forming two daughter cells, then that cell will grow elder and then will reproduce and divide into two daughter cells. So this process will continue for the lifelong process this is. And there will be the formation of progeny cell from the parent cell. Okay, and in other words, we can say that the cycle of growth and division, by growing and division, what happens by growing and division, a single cell forms a structure consisting of millions of cells. It is trying to say that when there was a single cell, like this was a single cell we had, and it growed, and then after the growth, what it did, it gets divided into two daughter cells, and that two daughter cell will again gets grow and then gets divided into two daughter cells again. So this is giving a single cell is giving a structure, is allowing a single cell to form a structure which consisting of millions of cells. So this was done by a single cell only, na. So that's what the cycle of growth and division do. Next we are going to study about the cell cycle. Okay, we all know that cell division is a very important process in all living organism, right? So during the cell division, DNA replicates and the cell growth also takes place. So what happens in the cell division? The DNA replicates and the cell growth will be going to continue all the time. Okay, cell growth, DNA replication. Look, DNA replication and cell growth, we know that cell growth will be going to continue forever. So this is a continuous process. This is a continuous process because it will be going to continue always. But DNA replication will not be going to continue always. So it depends on what the stage is, but it is not a continuous process, whereas growth is a continuous process we have. Okay, and DNA replication and has okay. So the sequence of events by which a cell duplicates its genome, synthesizes other constituents of the cell, and eventually divides into two daughter cells is termed as cell cycle. So what is it trying to say? This is trying to say that the sequence of events by which a cell duplicates, the cell first duplicate its genome, okay, then it will synthesize other constituents of the cell, and eventually then will gets divided into two daughter cells. So how it happens, like this will going cell division happen in a sequence of steps. So first what will happen, like this is the nucleus of the cell. So first it will divide its genome, okay, synthesizes other constituent, and then gets divided into two daughter cells. Okay, so that's how the sequence of events takes place, and the sequence of events by which the cell eventually divides into two daughter cell is termed as cell cycle. Okay, and yeah, that I've already told you that cell growth is a continuous process, whereas DNA synthesis occurs only during one specific stage in the cell cycle. So we cannot consider it as a continuous process because it is going to happen once only, and it is not a continuous process, whereas cell growth is a continuous process. Next, it is written that replicated chromosome like DNA then gets distributed to the daughter nuclei by complex series of events which we call and during the cell division. So let's now discuss that how this all happens. Okay, so we have some phases of cell cycle. Okay, so this is very important. The duration of cell cycle will vary from organism to organism and from cell type to cell type. Like for example, in a typical eukaryotic cell cycle will the cells will divide once in approximately every 24 hours. Wherever when we are talking about yeast, what happens in yeast cells, the duration of cell cycle is only about 90 minutes. So it differs that what kind of a organism it is, whether it will differ from organism to organism and cell type to cell type. Okay, so we have some phases of cell cycle. So cell cycle is divided into two basic phases, which is interphase and M phase. M phase is also called as mitosis phase. So from the name, it's already clear that M phase will be somewhere equal, similar to the mitosis. So let's now first see this. So it's written that these are the phases. I will explain you later because right now we have learned about the cell cycles division only. So what is M phase? M phase is that phase when the actual cell division, or we can say mitosis, occur. From the name, it is very clear that M phase means mitosis phase. So what will happen in this phase? In this phase, the cell will divide or mitosis occurs. Okay, and the interphase is that phase. Inter means between, right? Inter means between or inside, we can say, right? So interphase is that phase that is between the two M phases. Two successive M phase के बीच में जो phase होता है, that phase is termed as interphase. Okay, and it is significant to note that in the 24 hours average duration of cell cycle, human cell division proper lasts for about an hour. Okay, about 1 hour. Okay, so the interphase lasts for 90 more than 95% of the duration of cell cycle. So it's about like 95% of the cell cycle is in this process of cell cycle. 95% will last interphase only. Interphase will last 95%. So you can get to know that only 5% it will be all about mitosis. Okay, next, M phase. M phase starts with a nuclear division. So what happens in the M phase? M phase is the mitosis phase. So first, what will happen? First, like this is the cell we have. This is the cell we have. We have nucleus. We have nucleus here. What will happen? First, the nucleus will divide. Then first, the nucleus will divide. The nucleus will divide. Okay. Next, what will happen? Next, the process will happen karyokinesis. Karyokinesis refers to the separation of daughter chromosomes. Okay, and next what will happen? Then our cytoplasm will divide. Then our cytoplasm will divide, and this is called as cytokinesis. Then our cytoplasm will divide. Okay, and we get two daughter cells. Okay, so that's how it happens. So we have like M phase starts with nuclear division, then it will lead to karyokinesis, which is the separation of daughter chromosome. Next we have cytokinesis, which refers to the division of cytoplasm. Okay, cytokinesis, cytoplasm, same na. So This is nothing difficult to learn. And next we have the interphase. Interphase is called as the resting phase because it is the time between the two successive M phases. It is a time during which cell is preparing for the division by undergoing cell growth and DNA replication. So if we have to prepare, like we have to prepare for something, like if we are preparing for our exams, what we do? We try to study, we try to eat well, we try to be happy, we try to be always like, we tried that we will not fall ill, so we have to take care of ourselves and we have to prepare also. Okay, we should have the energy to study well. So that time cell, when it is preparing for the division, that time is resting phase. Okay, it has to rest also, and that's why we call it as interphase. Interphase, it will rest, and it will rest and prepare for the cell division by going to cell growth and DNA replication. Okay, in an ordinary manner, in a order. Okay, next, interphase is further divided into three further phases: G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. G1 phase is called as gap 1 phase. S phase is called as synthesis phase. There will be some there will be some synthesization of something. Okay, G2 phase is gap 2 phase. So till now we have discussed that we have cell cycle. Okay, cell cycle is divided into two parts: interphase interphase and amphase, right? And interphase is further divided into three parts, which is G1 phase, which is gap 1 phase. Next we have G2 phase, which is gap 2. Sorry, next phase we have S phase, which is synthesis phase, and gap 2 phase. Okay, so that's all for today's video. Let's see in the part 2.